Hi everyone, this is the Parallel Finance team. We are a decentralized lending platform built on top of the Polkadot ecosystem. And we also came up with a way that allows users to earn double interest fees. This is where we came up with the name Parallel Finance. And I will cover that towards the end of the demo. So to get started, we can connect our wallet here. We are using Polkadot.js extension. And you can see my two personal accounts here at the bottom. We also created a few test accounts that has pre-existing tokens. So here we're just going to use Alice. So what we see here at the top is the amount of token supplied and the amount of token borrowed, and as well as the amount of interest earned by the user through this platform. So right now, Alice has 1,000 tokens from each of these categories. And here we can see the other information about the market. So right now, the total amount of tokens supplied by the market is around 22,000, which is also the amount borrowed. So right now, they cannot cancel out for all of these categories, which is why the total market is zero right now. But let's go ahead and make some deposits here. So here, let's make a deposit of 100 tokens. So right now, we see that Alice hasn't supplied any tokens yet, and we can also see the historical supply APY. So we're gonna make 100 token deposit here. So it's gonna take a few seconds to process, and then we can see our balance has changed here. And so let's deposit a few more other tokens. So let's do 100 SAMA tokens, and then let's also add some USDC. So right now we can see that we have made deposits with 3 different assets. This is our total balance, which is also reflected here. And then these are the different compositions. So here we have 86% worth of Kusama, and then 10% worth of Polkadot, and 2% worth of USDC. And so if you want to make some borrowing, what we can do is we could use Polkadot as collateral, for example. And then here we can see that the borrow capacity is 1,800. So based on the $3,700 with a Polkadot that we were using as collateral, I can borrow this amount of tokens. And this is based on our collateralization ratio. So you can also see this information here. So right now we have used 0% of this borrow limit. So now let's borrow some tokens. Let's borrow some Polkadot tokens. Let's say I'm gonna borrow 10 Polkadot tokens. And here again, we can see the historical APR rates. So as I'm borrowing Polkadot tokens, this becomes 100% since this is the only asset we're currently borrowing. But we also see that this capacity has been lowered because we have been utilizing some of these previous collateral and borrow limits. And so now we have utilized about 20% of our total borrow limit. And you can see that here we have borrowed 10 Polkadot tokens. And if we click on repay, this is where we can see this is the total amount that we have borrowed. And then since we only borrowed 10 tokens, we will have to repay a little more based on the interest fees. So you can see this amount, and this amount should increase over time. So let's say I want to start repaying, so I can, let's say, repay half of this. I click on repay. So as I repay this, we can see that now I can actually borrow all the tokens. This amount has decreased. So this is essentially the core borrowing and lending feature. And then we can also see that as the user has made some deposits, the user will also earn some profits from lending out some of these tokens. And now let's talk about the staking feature. So essentially what we can do now is we could stake Polkadot tokens to participate in the validation. However, on top of that, on top of participating in validation, we can also lend out our Polkadot tokens. And the way we made this work is we came up with this system with X dot tokens, which are backing dot tokens. So essentially, every time you stake Polkadot tokens, you automatically get converted into X dot, and so the original dot would actually be transferred to specific validators to participate in staking, giving you specific returns. And with the X dot that you get in return, you can now essentially uh, deposit them and then lend them out. So this is how you can make double interest. So for example, here right now I have half of Polkadot and half of X dot. But let's say I want to increase my stake uh, in Polkadot. So let's add another 200 here, and then that will convert my tokens into X dot. And then if I come up here, now I have a total of 1200 X dots. And let's say I want to make some deposits. I want to lend out 200 X dots here. I can just make a deposit. And here we have our X dot token. And this X dot will give us additional earning interest in addition to the staking interest. And whenever I want to start converting these X dot back to dot, all I have to do is just unstake a certain amount. So let's say 200. And this unstaking process actually takes 28 days, just to clarify. And now I'm back to around the same ratio that I was originally. So this concludes our demo, and thank you for listening.